Well, good evening, everybody. Good to see you, Chris Sharp and Jason Johnson. Chris, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a long time.
I'm doing really well. Thank you. How about yourself, Jan?
I was just thinking, I haven't really seen you in person since it's been about a year, 11 months or something like that.
Yeah, I think one of the last times we hung out was a rehearsal for a gig that I ended up not going to.
Yeah, yeah. We got a Ray over here. Just messed up. It's Ray. I'm sorry, but it's just a brutal reality. I can't handle it right now. Ray, I love you, man. Okay, so I've known Chris for a very long time, and we met around 86, 87, 88, somewhere around there. He was a teenage fiddle player that played the Benny Martin style of playing, and he was in the band from around Asheville. What was the name of your band? The Asheville Grass, was it?
It was actually it was a band that George Buckner and Lawrence Dillingham and Greg Eubanks and Nick Chandler had put together.
Yeah,
The Tar Heel Bluegrass Boys.
that's right.
And that was an incredible learning experience because I wanted to be in that band, and so I asked George, could I be in the band? And he would say, well, you're going to need to go practice a lot. And
Yeah.
all these Flat and Scruggs records. And I'd go home and I'd work on all this Benny Martin fiddle stuff. And then I'd see him next week and, oh, I've been doing all this practicing, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, you're getting better. And I was like, am I good enough to be in the band yet? And he's like, you're going to have to keep working on it.
Mhm.
Hindsight's 2020. Obviously, I was in the band from day one.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
It was a heck of a strategy to convince somebody to practice. I mean, I thought it was a fantastic strategy.
Yeah. It really inspired you to practice it more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about what we're gonna listen to. It's from Somersville, 1994. That what was it? Music in the Mountains. Edgar Kitchen and his wife.
I'm having a hard time believing that year.
94. It could be 95.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that might be.
Well, the music is great and timeless, so we don't have to.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to make sure it's a sanity check for me because I lived in California in '94.
Yeah. Well, yes, you were in San Diego or somewhere.
I was near San Francisco at that point.
Okay. Yeah. It was during your naval career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see here. So Chris, you grew up in Nashville and you moved to Nashville. How old were you then?
22 or 23 maybe.
Mm-hmm. So you and George Buckner loaded up the truck and moved to Tennessee.
Yeah, I had just got out of the Navy and I had this car I needed to get back and I didn't want to drive by myself. And so I asked George if he would come out to California and help me drive the car back. And so he did. He came out there and we hung out for about a week or something. And then we made the trip back. I think it took us roughly 48 hours to get from California to Asheville.
Yeah.
So
pretty quick.
If you ever went across the country, you'll know that means we stopped and got gas and kept going.
Yeah. I can imagine. So we're gonna listen to some music from whenever, with you and playing with Kenny Baker and Josh Graves, through two of the true pioneers of bluegrass music. And so, after you moved to Nashville, you made friends with a lot of important older musicians and young.
George and I had a strategy when we moved down there. We got back from California and went to Asheville, and then I decided fairly quickly where I was going to be going. I think I might have had that figured out before I ever left California. But at any rate, George, he went as well, and our strategy was basically we didn't know what to do the day we got there, and then we quickly found out that we needed to be hanging out at the Station Inn. And so we became every night regulars there. I mean, we went every single night almost for a long time. And so that got us acquainted with most of the bluegrass musicians that lived down in Nashville.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know how it is now, but at that time it was a close enough family of musicians and a small enough circle such that you didn't need to be in a popular band to be in this group of musicians, even though all of them contained these people from these popular bands. Just if you were there, you just kind of got integrated into the whole thing, and then everybody had parties together, and it was a lot of fun. And there was a whole lot of acceptance for people that just really weren't in the circle. And so that's how we got down there and got to know everybody.
Yeah. So I know you got to know several people that had been around Flat and Scruggs, and Earl, including Earl himself, of course.
Mm-hmm. I used to, Larry Perkins rented a house from Earl for years, and they used to have infamous jam sessions at that house. And then there was some point when Larry moved to a different place, and when that happened, I don't know if it was back to back, but I ended up moving in there for a while. So I actually rented that house from Earl for a while.
Wow. You lived on the Scruggs. Is it on the Scruggs property there, or?
Well, it was his house. I mean, it wasn't like a part of his main estate where he lived. It was
okay.
Property that he owned.
Yeah. Yeah. And you knew Curly Seckler, of course.
Yeah, I made a couple records with Curly.
Yeah.
Actually, I recorded with Earl. He's on my first record. Hey,
Chris, I'm going to take a very short break. I'm going to go see Man About a Dog. Can you, the two of you, Jason, and you, that's an old Asheville saying, isn't it? But anyway, I'm going to go inside for just a minute, and then you keep telling the story. It's very interesting.
Well, should we listen to a tune?
Yeah, why not?
Why don't we listen to the first tune off this, and let's see.
Yeah, that'd be excellent. I'll be right back.
I'll share the screen, although it's a fairly boring screen, but I'll share that, and let's see.
Pretty, yeah, that's not very attractive. Baker and Graves. So.
It looks at least as good as I do. So.
But Chris, this is going to be interesting. There's a bunch of people on this recording.
I thought I heard Kevin Sluter's voice, but it was coming through my speakers, coming through your speakers. So I'm not sure. We'll get to know that a little later. But
I'm going to go ahead and mute mine then.
All right. Well, I'm going to start this up, and we'll just listen to the first song.
Okay.
And if this needs to be louder or something, I'll check your Facebook feed as well and try to keep up with the comments. And the comments will show up over here, won't they?
And
okay. About a dog. It's Man About a Horse is the one I've always heard, Kathy. To see a man about a horse.
She's an English teacher, so I know she was gonna ask about that. But anyway, yeah, go ahead and play a number there for the people.
Right. So here's the first number. There might be a little bit of warm up before Kenny kicks it off. Here it is. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's some pretty good fiddle playing.
Yeah, ma'am. Baker's tone always amazed me. I thought he had some of the best tone of anybody out there.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with that. There was there was a day where I was in his kitchen and I had a fiddle with me, and we'd been doing shows like this together for quite a while by then, so we were pretty good friends. And he he had me over, and I'd taken a fiddle with me, and we were sitting there drinking beer in the middle of the day. We were having all this beer, and the whole point was supposedly to be a fiddle lesson, but it was really just a beer drinking. But I did have a fiddle with me, and I did ask him to teach me a song, and I wanted him to teach me how he played "Pass Me Not." If you've heard that, it's on the Frost on the Pumpkin record, and the tone is just amazing. And he said, "Well, I don't even know if I can remember that." And he's sitting in this kitchen, and it's got linoleum floors, and it's got like wood paneling on it. So the acoustics in this kitchen were just perfect for a fiddle. I mean, the reverberations and stuff bouncing off these walls. Anyway, I was about half lit, and I asked him if he'd show me that song. He said he'd need to see if he could remember it. And I said, "Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to go to the bathroom in there." In the bathroom,
See a man about a dog.
yeah, and it was just right around the corner. And I remember standing in the bathroom, and he started playing that song, and the tone coming off the fiddle was just the most beautiful sounding tone I've ever heard coming off of an instrument. And I don't know how drunk I was or whatever, or how sober I was for that matter. I know I have a very clear memory of that tone, and I remember that I had ended up staying in that bathroom for a while because I mean it brought tears to my eyes. It was just that amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely had a unique touch to his playing, and his intonation was just unreal.
Yeah.
His accuracy.
Yeah, he was good. I was blessed to have a chance to play with Kenny and Josh a few times. One time with Chris, actually. And that was out there in Todd, North Carolina. It's near Boone. And there was a dobro workshop. And I guess Pammy Lassiter was one of the driving forces there. But there was, I remember we played maybe Wabash Cannonball or something like that. No, it was Fireball Mail. You remember, Chris, was 17 dobro player, and everybody played a break. So that was interesting. It took a little while to get through that.
It's like that. You seen that Carlton Haney video where like everybody's playing Foggy Mountain Breakdown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, you probably knew Mac Wiseman, I'm sure, and
Yep.
yeah. So
He used to always take my guitar away from me. Every time I saw Mac, he would take my guitar away.
he liked it.
Yeah. You know, I mentioned that once we got established down there, we would be invited to events and stuff, and there'd be these picking parties. Like Ronnie McCurry would have picking parties at his house a lot. And Mac would always show up. Every time he got there, he'd say, "Chris, did you bring my guitar?" And that was the end of my involvement in the jam session.
Was he playing his old Yamaha normal?
I mean, after I started going, he just didn't even bother bringing a guitar. It might not have been because of me. It might have just been that's what he was doing. But I mean, every time I saw him, he took my guitar away.
Yeah.
But he was Mac Wiseman. What are you going to do? Mac Wiseman wants to play your guitar. You get out of the way and you give Mac Wiseman your guitar. At least for me, that's what you do.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Jason, did you know Mac?
No, I never did. I never did actually know Kenny. I'd only really met him one time.
Mm.
And that was, I told you about the festival out at the Osborne Brothers Festival in Hyden, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I was out there, actually out in front in the parking lot in a jam session.
Uh-huh.
And me and Bill Grimes and his wife Sue and a couple other people. And
Mm-hmm.
I was playing guitar. And gentleman walked up well dressed and just kind of sat there listening for a little while, and he leaned over in my ear and just kind of, just real solemnly said, he bragged on my guitar playing, and I didn't know who he was. And a minute or two went by, and I said, "Bill, who was that?" He and Sue looked at each other and just started laughing. They said, "Well, you idiot, that was Kenny Baker." So immediately I set down my guitar and I searched him out and made sure that I thanked him. He was standing there with Josh. He was a fine gentleman, he and Josh both, and I made sure to let both of them know what an inspiration, their music had been to me over the years.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So you being a fiddle player, and you knew all them old tunes, Chris, that Baker used to play, and I know he thought highly of you. He whenever it wasn't common that guitar players would know his repertoire. So.
I could have done a whole lot better in that department as well. I mean, I didn't know most of the tunes that he played, and I would ask him.
Could have fooled me.
He was very interesting when he would teach me a song, because I would ask him, well, what's the chord that's going to, and he'd just take the fiddle and he'd go that, and he'd play the chord on the fiddle. What is it? And then he'd just play it again. That.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He would never. I mean, the times we played with him, I played with Hugh more than, and Kenny would never mention what was coming up. You know, what's the opening number? Nothing. You know, he would hit that double stop like C or whatever, B flat. He would hit it twice, like ching ching, and that's it. That's all the instruction.
Yeah.
You know,
And it comes straight from Monroe.
Yeah.
He did the same with the mandolin chop. You know, he would just give it a little signal.
yeah. At some point, I got comfortable with that sort of situation. It's similar to what Hartford did. He would tell you the key. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Key of D. And that's all you're getting, man. You don't know if do I need to put the cable on and play with the C? You know, what's going on here? You just never knew.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, it starts to not matter.
Right.
Not because you've learned all the songs, just because you've learned how to operate in that sort of situation.
Yeah. Sure. Why don't we play another number there for the people?
So what we're going to run into here is me navigating this YouTube video. Do you have any timestamps by chance? Okay, well, I'll try to get as close as I can. I'm assuming we don't want to hear them talking through the whole thing.
As always, there's a lot of banter and stuff going on stage. When
That's part of the flavor of it for me.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to just let that run?
No, I think it's pretty excessive, because they can't figure out who's going to play, who's going to be part of the ensemble. So
let me skip around till I find the next song then.
Yeah, Chris, I was going to say, there are a bunch of musicians on here. It's like people from several bands that played that same festival. Get out Russell Moore and Steve Dilling and.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah. Okay, I'm having some vague memory of that. Let's see what happens next.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a Kevin Slater.
Yeah, it's Kevin Slater.
Wake up, heart, Corey, what makes you sleep?
Sounds like George.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, the lights come seen on the Corey on the banks of the sea. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the meadow. Dig a hole in the meadow.
Mighty fine there.
Yeah, man.
So I'm fairly certain that's Larry Perkins on the banjo.
Yeah, I was going to ask her. Okay. Yeah. Well,
You could be wrong about that, but it sounds like Perk to me.
Yeah. Well, you would know. You would know.
He was getting it done, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no doubt. So this would have been, let's see now. You remember who was on bass?
That's Kevin.
Of course, yeah, Kevin, of course, yeah. No. Well,
Yeah, that's Kevin Suter.
he's a fine musician and singer. He played with us here in Raleigh one time, about a year and a half ago. It's Lorraine's Coffee House.
Yeah, Kevin's fantastic. Just a fabulous singer.
He sure is. So, Jason, what do you think about this this configuration of a musician?
It
You
sounds
have-
great, man.
Yeah, and you'd like a lot of the old stuff too, I guess.
Oh man, that's where I hang my hat.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I sound more and more like my grandparents as far as my musical attitudes. It's like I don't even keep up with a lot of the new music that in bluegrass. For the I don't want to get into some kind of argument. It's a pretty wide category. It's a little watered down.
Yeah.
Not it just at one point, bluegrass meant the music of Bill Monroe, basically, and now, people say like, man, I love me some bluegrass, like Mumford and Son.
Well, I've got respect for all forms of, bluegrass, but to me, when you get so far out there that you're losing the roots and the original feel, I mean,
Yeah,
to me, that's where some of them are. That's the difference in bluegrass, or being folk, or being string band kind of music.
yeah. Well, it's just music is going to change, and look
Yeah,
at the whole jazz category. Jazz is so large; it doesn't mean nothing. If you say I like jazz, it doesn't really mean you have to really what era. There's a period of over 100 years there.
Bluegrass is an interesting genre because you've got this genre of music where if it's strictly defined as Monroe's music, then the moment you add a dobro, you're not playing bluegrass anymore.
That's right. Yeah, I mean it becomes sort of absurd. I mean,
Well, I mean that's
it's a waste of
an
time.
extreme example, but you've got this continuum of that all the way to Mumford and Sons, and
Yeah, yes.
anybody could argue anywhere along the line there that none of this is bluegrass. In fact, that's not even good enough because you need to be playing Bill Monroe's material as well.
Yeah. Mhm, yeah.
Maybe you could get away with doing his style on new material, and that would be bluegrass.
Yeah.
For me, it's too complicated to worry about.
yeah,
I used to talk about bluegrass, but that was sort of for years and years, that was the only thing I would listen to, I was staying with Clyde Franklin over there in Nashville, there was nothing. It could be maybe a little classical guitar, but it was just bluegrass around the clock, and
I'll tell you one of the things that broke me. There used to be a radio station that would play bluegrass on Saturdays. They would play 6 hours a day of it.
which
So,
one was that?
I guess it's still there. WNCW.
Oh yeah.
And I think they're still doing that 6 hour bluegrass show. And I used to enjoy it back in the early 90s because when somebody would kick off a song by the third or fourth note, you knew who was kicking the song off. The band. You knew like who the musicians were. Oh,
Sure.
that's so and so, and that's got this guy on the fiddle, and you knew all that stuff.
Yeah.
Long about like I don't know 97 or 98, 2000. You listen to it, and it's like I don't know who the hell these people are because they sound just like the other band just and it got to a point to where I stopped listening to it because I couldn't tell one band from the other. It was just it seemed to be a paradigm that formed to where everything was a variation on the same sort of theme, and it was such a close variation that you'd really have to know a lot of musicians to be able to start telling these minute differences and stuff.
Yeah. No, I
mean, there's a huge difference when Don Reno kicks off a song versus Ralph Stanley. I mean, that's a massive difference in what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I watched a video, a YouTube video a few days ago of Tony Rice, and he was doing a workshop. I can't remember exactly where it was at, but he talked about that a little bit, about, you know, how a lot of the modern guitar players, you know, were trying to copy lick per lick what he did, and it goes the same with banjo players and mandolin players. I think mandolin players, in my opinion, I think more mandolin players have their own style about them than seems like any other instrument in bluegrass today.
You know, that's a good point. It sounds very reasonable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can tell the difference between, you know, Sam Bush, Ronnie McCurry, Adam Steffi, Compton, absolutely. I mean, those guys, they've honed their craft, and they've developed their own style or their own sound that's unique to them. And Rice touched on that, and he was a real gentleman about it, and he basically said, you know, you shouldn't be trying to do all these licks that I'm doing, or trying to do what I'm doing, because I've already done it. You know, I've already beat you to it.
but it's a good learning tool, I believe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Learn everything, you know.
Something cool about that is, even if somebody was able to go back and find every live show that he ever did and every record, and they learned note for note everything he ever did.
So what?
Well, what they would have accomplished, they'd be able to, you know, let's say at any given moment they could they could execute any of those solos with some decent amount of proficiency, right? Let's just assume that could happen. What have they really accomplished? Well, now they're doing something that he couldn't even have done, because he didn't know what he played on every solo for everything. I mean,
no,
that's not how. When you're in the flow of music, you're not thinking in terms like that.
No,
you're not concerned about what lick is getting ready to come out of you.
Unless you always play your practice breaks, of course, you know, like some musicians. But it's interesting, Tony. And you told me about Stuart Duncan too, another genius level player. You told me he couldn't play the same break twice.
I mean, I suppose he could if he had to, you know, but it's been my experience that's Stuart's, in my opinion, greatest strength, is that he doesn't think in terms like that. I mean, for him, it's like water pouring through a faucet.
Yeah.
And he picks up the fiddle, and it's like the faucet comes on, and it's almost like he's not responsible for whatever comes through the faucet, right?
You know, he's one of my favorites.
Metaphor.
Yeah, I was going to say he's one of my all-time favorite musicians. You know, I was listening to these recordings from the Birchmere with the Acoustic All-Stars, and you know, he's about 24, 25 there, and he's just playing absolutely beautiful, masterfully, and absolutely, totally unpredictable. He's the least predictable musician I know. You never know what's going to happen. It's just, you know, that it's going to be probably better than the last time you heard him play the break on that song. It's just amazing.
And adding to that, you know, the better musicians, you'll find that a lot of what they play is dictated by the musicians they're playing around. They get into a flow and listen to those guys, and they play off of each other. And that's what a band's all about. It's not about showboating, play as fast as you can, and cram as many notes as you can in there. It's about listening to each other, doing what you can do to make everybody else get in that groove and in that flow to, you know, make the overall sound.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, there's Willie Nelson's country music record. There's a song on there, "Satisfied Mind," and Stuart's playing just amazing fiddle on there. And one of the coolest things about that track, about the whole record, really, is at the very end of that song, Stewart's winding the thing down and he's going, dear, like he's going for that last note. It's that typical country kind of an ending. That, like that sort of a,
Right.
right back into the tonic. Well, there's a steel guitar player going. And so somehow or another, Stewart intuited that the steel guitar was going to take the major note. And so Stewart, like when he ended the song, instead of going, dee-dum, he goes, dee-dum, and he takes the major note because he like intuited that the steel guy was going to go there, and it totally happened just like that. And I don't think that he was, I really don't think Stewart was sitting there playing that. I think that that's just what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to read his mind, but I was sitting right beside him when he did it. So, I mean, it didn't seem to me like he was very concerned whether or not that was going to work out.
Yeah. I mean, he is just if you get a chance to listen to the recordings from the Birchmere, he's really a master at that, even at that low age. Another master, of course, is or was Benny Martin, and you knew him quite well.
Yeah, I knew Benny. I became acquainted with Benny when I was probably about the time I met you.
Yeah, I would say I remember you told me you had met him. You know.
Oh, we were pen pals. I didn't end up meeting him until maybe 95 or 96, but we were pen pals, and I don't have any of those letters. I've moved so many times, and
Oh.
my family's moved and stuff, and there might be somewhere in some of my mom's things, I hope, but
Yeah.
there were a couple of letters that he wrote me on official Benny Martin stationery.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah, we would talk on the phone, and he knew my grandfather. They used to play together, and that's how I, that was my in with Benny.
That's right.
Because Benny was not an approachable person. He just wasn't. You can count on one hand how many people that he would let go into his house, for example. He just wasn't an approachable man.
Mm.
And so I didn't know at the time. I mean, I just looked his phone number up because he was this fiddle player I wanted to know, and he knew my grandfather. So I did I think you called the operator back in those days or something. Somehow I got his phone number through legitimate means, and I called him. And I was like, hey, my name's Chris, and my grandfather, Shorty Baston, used to play with you, and he remembered who he was, and then we had this really long conversation, and then that turned into a pen pal sort of phone call where I'd call him every few months,
Yeah.
and he'd write letters to me, and then eventually I met him, and yeah, little did I know how I basically got into an impossible place.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's really fantastic. You recorded with him some, or?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So we were pretty close friends when those two records were recorded. In fact, I was hanging out with Benny for even before the records came out, and driving him around and stuff like that. But no, I did not appear on those albums.
Mm. Yeah. Well, he was so ahead of his time with his fiddle playing, and then such a great singer too. And an entertainer, and he had this sort of this Perry Mason look about him. Really.
I always wondered if I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I always wondered if Benny Martin sounded like Lefty Frizzell, or if Lefty Frizzell sounded like Benny Martin. The singing.
Yeah.
Because it's a very similar style and tone and approach.
Yeah.
A lot of similarities.
Yeah.
And that's as far as I know, that Lefty Frizzell sound is what influenced Merle Haggard. And
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
often wondered, like, did
Yeah.
Benny get it from him, or is Benny actually the reason that we have Merle Haggard? You know,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Lefty Frizzell, Lefty Frizzell, you know, he obviously must have had a big impact on Haggard, and then Haggard to people like Keith Whitley and the whole bloodline there. But,
And I'd really be. I'm sure that there are plenty of people in Nashville who know the answer to that, whether who was influencing who, because all that was going on in the early '50s.
yeah, do you? I don't know if you knew it, but a few weeks ago, Seth and I played some studio, real early studio radio studio recording with Lefty Frizzell, and he sounded a lot like uh, Hank Hank Williams. No,
When,
no, Jimmy Rogers. Jimmy
what year was that?
47.
'47.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So at some point he changed styles, and that's what I'm interested in. I'd like to know if that was influenced. I mean, it's probably not the case, but I'd really like to find out that Benny Martin was that influence.
Of course. Yeah, why not? No, but if you go back a couple of episodes of the Rinehart Archives, there is this uh, just him and the guitar in the radio studio, but it's really interesting stuff.
Guy was a fantastic singer.
Yeah. I don't listen a whole lot to country music, but he's definitely my favorite.
That's all I think that's all I listen to. Some kind of country.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's another word that doesn't really mean anything anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Pin it down.
Yeah.
Shall we try to find another song on this?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going straight forward, and if I run into talking, I'll fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
So far, they're just. That's right. I'm gonna pause. That's right. Josh always did 3 songs before the talking.
Okay.
That's what we're hearing here.
guess we need to fast forward a little bit there. I don't know.
All right. Well,
But that's a beautiful piece. It's got some kind of woman's name, doesn't it?
I cannot remember the name of that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Josh could really feel like schmaltzy, or like those trills.
Hmm. There's another guy that knew how to get a good tone out of his instrument.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He,
And Josh, is for me, he transcended something that I think is important to get a good tone, which is to keep the picks to where they're not kind of hanging off your fingers like that, right? Josh was able to have the picks hanging off of his fingers a little bit and still be able to get really good tone like that.
Mm.
Pretty phenomenal, really.
yes.
I personally believe the tone is in here. If you know what you're trying to get out of an instrument, then your hands are gonna like
Yeah.
doing stuff until it starts happening.
I'm
Yeah.
totally with you. We've talked about that before. That Baker play my fiddle. It didn't sound like my fiddle. It sounded like Baker's fiddle. Or same with Bobby Hicks, or Vassar Clements, and all these people. So that's something very unique and very deep.
Hmm.
Okay,
Phil says it's called Jennifer's Walk.
I see that they're always studious fiddling. It's good to see you, brother. He's a fine fellow, He's up there in near Westchester County. I think it's in Westchester County, New York. So you've been he's been your disciple here now for a while, Chris.
Do what?
Phil has been like your disciple here. You taught him a lot of music.
Oh, he's taught me about as much as I've taught him.
Yeah. He's a pretty sharp dude. We ought to get him on here too,
Yeah, rein him in.
Yeah. So I was going to say something here, and I got sidetracked. So, I guess most people know you from. Well, you've done so many different things, but your many years with John Hartford band had sort of given you a lot of fans and fame.
Don't know about fame.
Well, you really you well known, and you played with Thompson and Schatz. I don't know how I'm off the chat. I know Larry Perkins used to play in that Hartford band too.
Hmm. Yeah, that was a heck of a learning experience.
So you told me something that when you first met Hartford, that he'd really stare at you.
Yeah, John had this this habit of when you'd be at a jam session, and I don't know if it was just only me. I mean, anytime somebody's looking at you, then you assume it's only you that they're doing it to, right? I mean, at least
Yeah.
it feels that way.
Yeah.
And every time I'd go to a jam session, John would be there, and this is before. I mean, we knew each other and we were friendly, but he would always be there, and I would look down a lot because I knew when I'd look up, he'd just be staring right at me. And every time I look up, and he just
Yeah, that's pretty intimidating.
and these days, after having known him for so long, I think that maybe it's kind of like when you look off into space and you're not really looking at anything. I think perhaps that's what was happening. Because John, when he played fiddle, he wasn't particularly interested in intimidating people while he was doing that. I mean, that just didn't seem to be his trip.
No. No. So he was a pretty good guy to work with.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, how long has he been gone now?
He died in either 2000 or 2001. I guess 2001.
What was, let's see now, was he on the Down from the Mountain tour?
No, he's on the Down from the Mountain movie, and he emceed it.
That's right.
And after that, we went to Carnegie Hall, and he didn't make that one. I'm not sure. I think he was still alive during that. I can't be sure though. I need to ask some people. But he didn't make Carnegie Hall with us, and then by the time the Down from the Mountain tour started, he was the first one. He was already passed.
But you were on the tour with who? Who did you play with?
I was in the house band, and I was also an artist.
Okay.
So I sung in the Jailhouse Now on most of the shows. The ones that I did not do that on were the ones where Tim Blake Nelson showed up. And so when that happened, I would just play the guitar.
Yeah.
Singing song. There's the only audio recording I've ever heard of any of that stuff is an audio recording of, I think, a San Francisco version maybe of that song.
Mhm.
At some point, hopefully somebody's going to release all that audio. There's a ton of stuff. I mean, when they made that movie Down from the Mountain, we were at the Ryman Auditorium for an entire week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they were walking around filming everything we said, everything we did. There's a ton of stuff on there.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much is incriminating, embarrassing, and who knows. Because when they've got that going for like a whole week, you just finally stop caring. And I think that's the whole point.
Yeah, you just never know what's going to get out there. But it's all good, you know.
I'm not worried about it. I'd like to have some of the music. Like, believe it or not, my memories of Carnegie Hall are so vague that about the only thing I remember is walking off the stage. And that's even really vague. I remember Elvis Costello was there, and
That's right.
he was the MC. But I don't know. I don't know why that is, but my memories of those, like this show that we're listening to, it's a very vague memory for me. I kind of remember roughly what the area looked like,
Yeah.
but I have no idea, in my memory of who's on the stage.
Well, let's find another number for the people.
Sure.
Well, if you're going to ask Kenny to come up and play it, just tell you simply going on that other set down here. I never know what he's going to play. He's going to play with him, let him run.
Playing B flat. There he goes.
Mm-hmm. Jake was the B flat man. I don't know. Hey, I guess the music stopped again, but that let's listen to another one there, Chris. If you,
All righty.
no, love that tune, Charmaine. It's a beautiful piece.
Let's see what's coming up next here.
Baker was really playing with a lot of jazz phrasing there. He,
Thank you so much. I told him that string wasn't going to last for another year. Now you got me out. I'm dealing with everybody. I'm not with anybody.
Well, let me fast forward and see if we can get.
Got another band behind us here. Shine on this dawn, living life in Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the Lord and let me sing. It was on only night the stars were shining bright, and he whispered, "Come on, fly, you never say goodbye." Living life without you, keep on shining. Shine on the wondrous dawn and say goodbye. It was on the stars were shining bright when he went on higher, others said goodbye. Keep on shining, shine on the one that's gone and say living up Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's country country. Living up Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gonna let me clean. It was on a moonlit night, the stars shine bright, and you whispered to my heart, you'd never say goodbye. Living up Kentucky, keep on shining. Don't say goodbye.
We can keep going a little bit. That was Russ Moore and I guess Wayne Benson and Steve Dillon probably.
Yeah, definitely Russell.
Yeah, mighty fine singing there.
Sure enough, yes. Do we want to keep rolling to the next one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Alrighty.
Earl, back in the 50s. I didn't like it very much when somebody come along in the 60s and recorded it. It sold 3 million and I learned to love it. It's called Shucking the Corn.
Suppose if that don't light your fire, your wood's wet.
Well, if it,
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said if that don't light your fire, your wood's wet.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. There was some pretty, pretty
sound like Steve and Larry both playing on that.
All I know is they was kicking up a smoke trail behind them.
yeah.
See what comes up.
Do another one.
All right, here comes one.
There's something going on. I'm thinking that right now.
Sorry, I did this to you, Chris.
Look at her go. There she goes. She's been called. What you fly with herself. Let her fly, fly, fly. Come on, baby. Let her go. Look at her go. Hear the blow. West wind free. Like a hell, nobody's scared. And let's pound, pound, pound. Come on, baby. Look at her sway. Get that girl out of the way. Watch her fly with herself. Let her fly, fly, fly. Make it time. Press it with. Look at clouds. See that great girl. And she's playing. Come on, baby. See her swerve. Look at her sway. Get that girl out of the way. Watch her fly with yourself. Let her fly, fly.
So that was like some river band, wasn't it?
Yeah, that sounded like Ronnie Bowman and Don Rigsby doing the vocals.
Right, and then Kenny Smith on the guitar.
Yeah, ma'am.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you could definitely tell it when old Sammy come in there and laid the thumb to it.
Yeah. Yeah, Sam is a fine player.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys, you know, after the first 2 or 3 notes of a kickoff, you know it's him.
Yeah. Yeah. I met him in 1991. Now I got some.
He kicked it off. Just wrote especially for this occasion, and yeah, we got a song that we just wrote especially for this occasion, and we're gonna get Kenny to kick it off. Let the study on it for a second, all right? I'm curious. 14 years. I haven't played that kind of stuff. Got it. My sweet black darling, and my love belongs to you. You are my darling, my darling, love me good, love me good, and be Days come and go, but I still love you, and I see your smiling face. Tell me, love, that you need me, and no wrong gonna take a place. My sweet black darling, and my love belongs to you. You are my darling, my darling, good and be true. And today I need an answer, and I want to hear you say you don't belong to another, and in my arms you're gonna stay. My sweet black darling, and my love belongs to you. Oh, yes, you, my darling, it's gonna be good and be true. My sweet black darling, and my love belongs to you. It's my darling, it's love me good and be true. My darling, love me good and be true.
Well, that's classic there. Bacon never forgot those Monroe tunes.
Yeah, that's a mighty powerful number right there.
You better believe it, boy. That was Rigsby, I guess, singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Kevin Sluter here on a direct chat, and
Oh, we can add him on to this.
let me see if he wants to do that.
I can send him the invite link.
Anyway, he was saying Kevin's got an amazing memory. He'll know all about it.
We need to get him on there.
Because he's saying that he remembers that his bass neck was having issues.
Okay, that's very interesting.
I tell you, it didn't seem to affect his playing much, man. He's right on top of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, would you mind sending him a link?
I will do that. And while I'll do that, maybe you all can entertain the people a little bit.
We could listen to another one of these, or
Yeah.
all right, let's do that.
Okay. Who is it? What is it? Here. Yeah,
Oh, that's Del McCory.
Okay.
I can't eat all the same. Listen, oh, your footsteps at my door. I keep asking myself why we ever said goodbye. And I guess I should have been too. On my mind, on my mind. You're always in my heart and on my mind. Once I thought my love was that, darling, yes, what a find. You're always in my heart and on my mind. Seems I met you both before, yeah, when twilight shadows fall. What a fool I was to ever let you go. If longing for you now could only bring back somehow, you'd be here in these empty arms, I know. On my mind. You're always in my heart and on my mind. Once I thought my love would die, darling, here's what I find. You're always in my heart and on my mind. Hi, one, Jeff.
Yeah.
How you doing, Stephen?
Good.
Yeah,
Hope you are.
yeah.
On my mind, on my breath. You're always in my heart and on my mind. 'Cause I know my love is kind. Darling, here's what I find. You're always in my heart and on my mind.
Well, Kevin Sluter, it's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Jan.
Yeah, how's everything going up in Buncombe County? Or are you in Madison?
Do what now, Jan?
Are you in Buncombe County or
I'm in Buncombe County.
okay, yeah. All right. Well, we're just listening to this show that you played on.
Okay.
Have you been? Did you listen to it? And did you have a chance to listen to what we've been playing?
I just jumped on. Chris just texted me a minute ago.
Okay. Well, so anything you remember about this without even having listened to it? Do you remember? I was a little uncertain about the year. I had said 94, but Chris said he was in California at the time. So
I think that was probably 96 maybe or 95.
okay.
I do remember my neck on my bass was breaking during the show. It was coming apart, you know, and I could see a gap in the heel of my bass.
Yeah, that's pretty terrifying. Sure. Well, Chris, why don't we listen to another number? There might be some singing here.
Yeah, you know, that was Del McCoury on the last one. Man, he's a very distinctive rhythm guitar player. That
Yeah.
guy, he's just an amazing rhythm guitar player. I'll tell you what, too. Might like his voice or not, but he's a damn good singer, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. It's some people really like that sort of timbre of voice, and some people may not like it much. But
Well, you know, Tony Rice
this is
always
right there, man.
Tony Rice always talked very highly of that Dell's playing.
Kevin, is there a speaker button on there? Do you see something look like a speaker? It might turn it up for you.
Yeah, I'm just on my phone. I can hear it.
Okay. But yeah, that was I don't know. I'm more into that old style myself. So after we heard those other songs, which those were fine and stuff, as soon as I heard that guitar rhythm, I mean, that's what gets me going. Is that the space between the notes and the guitar rhythm, man? Dale really gets it together on that. Being man, he sounds like I don't know. It just sounds like somebody that really knows what they're doing.
Yeah. But Chris, I'm sure you've studied Dell's style in depth, like everything else. You sort of take it down to the molecular level, you know. It's
Well, I mean, not so much with Dale because his style is it's based off of the same sort of flat, Lester Flat kind of style.
mm-hmm.
I think, you know, there was a style of rhythm guitar that was prominent back in the 50s, more prominent, and Dale came along at some point, maybe before then, and he picked that up and he got really, really good at it.
Yeah.
So he got to the point where he abstracted out the rhythm to a large extent, and he's just feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can just tell when he's starting to play the guitar. You're dealing with a pro. I mean, that's all there is to it.
No doubt.
But let's see what's on here next. How you been doing, Kevin?
I'm hanging well rope.
Kevin, there was a little echo there, I think. Did you hear an echo? Or?
Well, you and kid, there's an excessive amount of rapping going on some of this.
That's a powerful banjo there.
Yeah, man.
These K-Roads, I'm going to these K-Roads, I'm going to these W-Roads, on the field elephant, roll on, buddy, roll on, buddy, roll on. He would know so slow, he would know, so roll on, buddy, roll on.
Sounds like Kenny Baker.
The woman just, I love the woman just the same. My woman just the same, just for the change of name. I love the woman just the same. Roll on, buddy, roll on. Roll on, buddy, roll on. He would go so slow, he would know. So roll on, buddy, roll on.
Yeah.
My home there in Tennessee. My home is down in Tennessee. My home in Tennessee, that's where I'm gonna be. Way down in Tennessee. Roll on, buddy, roll on. Roll on, buddy, roll on. He would not to start the world. So roll on, buddy, roll on.
Yeah, man.
That's sound.
Roll on, buddy, roll on. Roll on, buddy, roll on. He would not to start the world. No, so roll on, buddy, roll on.
Yeah, man. Man. That must be Jay from Carter's playing the harmonies there.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, sounded good.
Sound like bluegrass to me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Man, when Dale comes in with that downbeat on that guitar, son, it's like somebody punching you right in the chest.
Yeah,
It's a good sounding guitar too.
Yeah, man.
It's got that nice open sound to it.
yeah.
I mean, a lot of that's got to do with his technique. He's just playing it in such a way that it just doesn't sound cramped up. It doesn't sound like the strings are all just real close together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's bound to be a better way to say that than I'm saying it, but it's what a lot of times guitar players sound too rigid and like everything's just super close together.
Yeah.
But with his thing, you can hear all the strings individually. They sound like they're just really spread out.
Yeah.
Great guitar and a great player behind it.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
What else do you remember about that gig, Kevin?
I remember meeting Charlie Waller, and I remember the campground there. I was pretty awestruck just being with Kenny and Josh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember being on the stage with these people coming on?
Not really.
Me either.
I remember they did like an all-star thing at the end of the show with Ray Deaton and a bunch of them, you know, Russell Moore, and I was like, I don't like getting into a deal where there's two bass players.
Yeah.
So I just kind of sat back, you know, and Ray Deaton was up, and Kenny was like, "We hired you to come up here and play with us. Now you get up here."
That sounds about right. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what's going on. At some point, I seem to have vanished from the show. And maybe I'm there, but I'm just super far away from a microphone or something. I don't know, but that's fine with me. I don't care either way. But I don't really hear what I'm doing.
Chris, we walked around a little bit, so
While that was going on,
who knows where we were? We
So,
were just coming and going.
yeah, you know, Somersville, you have to cross that bridge, the
The Gully Bridge, New River Bridge.
yes. I know I played there with New Vintage a couple of times, and that bridge used to scare me so bad I couldn't even look. You know, I just had to look at the floor or something. You know.
yeah. When you worked with them, did you travel with them?
New Vintage.
Nah, with Josh and Kenny.
No, not. You know, we played the. Let's see. I guess we probably played. Let's see, Todd, North Carolina, and then we played the Nancy Kennedy's Festival down there in east of Raleigh. And let's see.
So you didn't ride in that blue van.
I always rode with Hugh. Bass Mountain we played.
You missed out on a hell of an experience, man. Getting to ride in that blue van.
Josh, you tell me don't go over 70. And I could see why, because it was like driving a rubber ball.
What do you mean?
Had a mind of its own.
Oh my gosh.
I swear you're constantly doing this with the steering wheel because you had to turn it a real long way before it would make any adjustment, and then it was always too far. It
Yeah.
was the hardest thing to drive.
Was it Josh's van?
It was their traveling van. They had the interior of the thing completely carpeted,
Mm-hmm.
Blue shag carpet.
and they smoked cigarettes like they wasn't never gonna make no more.
No, I know.
So they wouldn't. You couldn't hardly get them to crack a window,
Oh, no.
and they drink beer, smoke, and I mean whoever was driving, I don't think was allowed to drink, but everybody else was getting it done.
Well,
I told you that weekend, Chris, we were going to get lung cancer that weekend. That van.
That's probably what's wrong with everything. Every health problem I've had probably came from riding in that van.
Kenny smoked from the time I saw him till the time from the time we met him to the time we left. That was.
The thing is, I don't think he ever inhaled a puff of smoke.
no.
I don't remember Kenny ever actually inhaling cigarette smoke. He would like suck it into his mouth and then blow it back out. But I don't think he actually was inhaling it.
How bizarre.
Maybe he was, but I mean, I spent a lot of time around him and drinking and smoking. It seemed to me like he wasn't really doing no smoking.
He wouldn't let He wouldn't go to sleep while you were driving, though. Kenny would never go to sleep.
Not intentionally.
Yeah. Why don't we play another number for the people?
All right.
This is a good mood here.
What band was that playing with him, Chris?
Do what?
Who was that playing with him right there?
That's Dale McCurry and Robbie McCurry and
Okay.
Ronnie McCurry and Larry Perkins played a banjo break. And Baker was playing the fiddle.
I came on probably towards the end of the show where I came in at.
And you at the very beginning too.
I remember on the fiddle.
You know, I said that to Robbie McCurry, but I'm not so sure. Anyway.
Yeah, it was. It had to be.
I thought it was, but yeah.
He was there. I remember all of us being together. We hung out with him after all that.
Yeah.
Today has been awesome. Today has
There's Charlie.
Sounds like it.
It's also Dudley Connell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that Dudley or is that Duffy?
Both of them.
I'm pretty sure Brian Blaylock was playing with Charlie then.
Definitely Dudley Connell playing the guitar.
Yeah.
They carry my mother to the burying ground. They carry my mother to the burying ground. They carry my mother to the burying ground. I want them to lay me down. The day has been a lonesome day. Today has been a lonesome day.
Yeah, I think I'm wrong.
Today has been a lonesome day. And tomorrow's gonna be the same old way. Did you ever hear a church bell toll? Did you ever play a church? Did you ever play a church bell? Did you know that you didn't know?
Oh man.
Oh, dig my friend with silver spade. Oh, dig my friend with silver spade. Oh, dig my friend with silver spade. To mark the place where I may lay. Today has been a lonesome day. Today has been a lonesome day. Today has been a lonesome day. And tomorrow will be the same old way.
So I was completely wrong. That was all Charlie Waller. I don't think Dudley Connell was on there at all.
But Charlie was there for sure.
What year did you say that was? That sounded like John Duffy singing tenor.
I'm not sure. I don't remember John being there.
Well, Duffy would have.
I remember that was Charlie Waller's band.
The banjo player sounds like Eddie Adcock a little bit.
That was Brian Blaylock.
Playing the banjo?
Yeah.
It's got those same licks. It's got that country gentleman sound for sure.
Oh yeah.
Aldi played the banjo.
No, Brian Blaylock is a musician from East Tennessee. Multi instrumentalist.
Okay, I never heard of it.
He's a killer banjo player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember seeing him there. You know, that's the first time I met him and Charlie Waller. I'll never forget that day. That was Charlie's band. I don't remember Dudley Connell.
I was wrong. Somehow I got his voice tied up with Charlie's in my head, and both of them do have they both play a full rhythm pattern. But no, I was mistaken.
Do you think it was Charlie's mandolin player who would have been somebody like Jimmy Bowen or?
The mandolin playing sounded like I don't know enough about it. I ought to be quiet, but it reminded me of John Duffy.
Let's see, Norman Wright or no, he played the wrong sort of the mandolin.
It definitely sounded like Duffy playing mandolin.
You said what?
I said it definitely sounded like Duffy playing the mandolin.
I don't think he was there.
No, I just don't hear Duffy in there, but can we rewind and hear that?
Let's hear what happens next.
We'll go back and listen to that mandolin break again.
I tell you what, I know Uncle Josh come in there like
Oh
Mike
gosh.
Cleveland told me a story, son. He come in there like a biting sow, buddy.
Mm.
Kenny did, he did too. That fiddle, man. Wow.
Well, there's somebody introducing people up there.
Do what?
Seems to be some introductions going on about an hour in here. Really,
I'll never forget that big breakfast we eat, Chris, at the Stonewall Jackson place there.
This is why I told you we ought to call Kevin, Jan.
Yeah, yeah.
There ain't no more music on here. That was the end of it.
Well,
Kenny and Josh ordered enough food to feed an army, and they didn't eat hardly 2 bites of their breakfast.
yeah.
Josh said, "This is the best breakfast you'll ever eat in your life."
Mm.
We went down there, and it sure was, but they didn't eat hardly nothing.
They're funny.
Yeah.
They're some of the funniest people I know.
Well, my friends, let's do this again. This was fun.
Yeah, man.
Well, hey Kevin.
Yeah.
I need to return an email I got from Brooke Buckner that had a bunch of. I had a couple of links to some stuff me and you and George did on Wayne Urbison's radio program. Did she send you that?
No, I hadn't saw anything.
Well, I'll forward that to you. There's some.
What year would this have been, Chris?
That would have been around right about the same time this happened. 95 or so.
Yeah, it was 95, 96, or 96 we were in Nashville. Or 96, 97 we were in Nashville in that era.
Mm-hmm.
So it would probably been 95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
So the stuff with me and you and George is when we lived in Asheville.
Yeah.
When me and you both lived on Tipton Hill Road.
Yeah.
Wayne Urbison thought that we got the name from someplace in Tennessee, and you corrected. I'll tell you what, I listened to that, and you're a hell of an MC, man. I never had paid attention before until I started listening to that radio program, and you're doing this good MC working right in the middle of it. I jumped in and said something, and every time I hear that, I get mad at myself. Why didn't I just be quiet and let Kevin do the MC work? So, yeah. But anyway, I'll send you those links. They're pretty fun to listen to.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna end the broadcast. Y'all can stay on for a minute, but I thank everybody for tuning in here, and we'll be back. Beth is out on the mission. He had some recording sessions, but he says he loves y'all, and he really means it. So he'll be back next time. Until then, safe travels.